empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afroeconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afroeconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afroeconomics podcast. There are many levels of Afroeconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out Afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #Afroeconomics. This is Afroeconomics with JB Bryan. Afroeconomics is a strategic financial management program designed for the advancement of Black wealth in America and abroad. The new Spider-Man movie passed $1 billion in sales today. That confirms that people love a superhero. With $1 billion in sales, people need to know about the story of Jesus too. The movie of Spider-Man, in my opinion, touches on the story of Jesus in a creative way and brings it to the big screen. The movie shows how God can take an average man, an average person, and use him to change lives. The movie shows how Spider-Man, like Jesus in my opinion, tries to help people even though they didn't want his help. I think we should know that that's where the movie and God separate. God offers the help, but he forces nothing on us. God makes the offer. God is not going to beat us down to get us to agree with him. I have found that without God's help, we do feel weak. But by allowing God to help us and lead our life, you can find your superpower, your peace, and your authentic success. My brothers and sisters, consider who you were when God called you to salvation. Not many of you were wise scholars by human standards, nor were many of you in positions of power. Not many of you were considered the elite when you answered God's call. But God chose those whom the world considers foolish to shame those who think they are wise. And God chose the puny and the powerless to shame the high and mighty. He chose the lowly, the laughable in the world's eyes, nobodies, so that he would shame the somebodies. For he chose what is regarded as insignificant in order to supersede what is regarded as prominent, so that there would be no place for prideful boasting in God's presence. For it is not from man that we draw our life, but from God as we are being joined to Jesus, the Anointed One. And now he is our God-given wisdom, our virtue, our holiness, and our redemption. That's in Corinthians chapter 1, verses 26 through 30. God gives us the power to use our failures for his good. Now let's take a look at those in the Bible who were seen as failures to the world, but came and made a huge difference for our lives even today. Noah in Genesis chapter 6, it says Noah drank too much. He was an alcoholic, but God used Noah to save the world. Abraham and Sarah, also in Genesis, they were an older couple, and God used them to build a nation. And Joseph, a selfish teenager, God challenged Joseph so much, he trained Joseph to save Egypt and Israel. In the book of Exodus, chapter 3, it tells us about Moses. Moses really couldn't talk. He stuttered. But God created in Moses a spokesman and a leader. And Rahab, in the book of Joshua, chapter 2, Rahab was a prostitute. But God used her to help overtake Jericho. While Esther in the book of Esther, chapter 1, she was adopted as an orphan and she became a queen. Esther became a queen and saved Israel. While Peter in the book of Matthew and in the book of John and in the book of Acts, Peter was a quitter. He would give up on everything. But God brought him back to start the kingdom. While Paul in the book of Acts chapter 7, he was an enemy. He was the enemy. And Paul became one of the most prolific Christians in the New Testament. Tell me that God won't do it. He can do it. Yet there is no such thing as failure in the word. God can get us through. So what I'm arguing here or encouraging us to do here is to stop playing with our future, because failure is actually the beginning of our future. Stop seeing failure as an end game. Failure is how we learn to win. I often feel that God places the challenges in our life so that we can learn how to win, learn how to overcome. It's not over until you win. I've heard it said, and it is true in my opinion, that all you have to do is get up one more time than you get knocked down. That's it. Just get back up. Stop modifying. Stop changing the way you do things to make other people more comfortable. Stop modifying your moves to even make it easier for yourself, because it's making you weak. There is only one real way to do something. And often we take extra effort to modify the move to make it easier. But the correct way is the way that it was designed to be done, and it makes you stronger. So take your time and do it right. Don't mind waiting, because God will get you where you're supposed to get. So don't compromise on your dreams. Let's stop compromising on our dreams. Let's not settle. Do the hard part. It will make you stronger. Move in your own pace and do it correctly. Listen to yourself. The word says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What are you saying to yourself? Make sure you're speaking positive words internally. Pray and ask God to give you a healthy, honest look at yourself. In Proverbs, it says, to learn, you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. That's in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 1. Let's make healthy choices. Do you know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him. For God's temple is holy and you are that temple. That's in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Make healthy choices and don't think too much or too little of ourselves. Don't judge yourself for your shortcomings. God has forgiven us for disappointments. So let's focus on all that God has ahead for you. For by the grace given to me, this is what the word says, for by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think of the sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. That's in Romans chapter 12, verse 3. Do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. That's in Proverbs chapter 26. We got to self-correct, y'all. We got to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Look at yourselves from within. Let's think about how we want to grow internally. Let's take a soul view of ourselves. In 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 through 9, have nothing to do with godless myths and old wives' tales. Rather, train yourself to be godly. Let me tell you, stop playing with your future. There is no off season. We got to start living with a sense of urgency. Don't put off to tomorrow what should, could, and must be done today. It must be done today. There is power in the pain of facing it and getting it done. And that's for somebody out there who's trying to avoid the pain. There's power in the pain. When they were going to kill Jesus, they offered him some wine to numb him, to make him feel better. They said, drink this and it'll make you feel better. You won't even have to feel what they're doing to you. You won't have to feel what's being done. And Jesus said, no, I refuse to. I want to feel the pain. I refuse to be numb. You have to be refusing to be numb and face the pain and carry the load in which God has given you. Don't allow others to tell you what you can't achieve. They're assuming that you're like them, or they're assuming that you cannot do what you are trying to do. Or even they don't even know you. They might know who you used to be, but they don't know who God has created in you. Because you can do exactly what you want to do. Start today, start right now, and when the world says no, you got to make sure you go and find your yes. Finish it. Finish all the unfinished business of your life. You got stuff that you started, but you didn't finish. Here's our chance. Let's go back and get it done. Let's finish the unfinished business. Be fearless. Be motivated. Being fearless in the face of worldly threats allows us to face the challenges of our life. We can face the challenges day after day if we realize that fear is not of God. God planned on us being fearless. So move in your purpose. Move on and elevate your performance by finding joy in each task that God gives you. Read the Word of God every day and pray. Prayer works. Prayer renews our mind. Prayer empowers us every day. Pray. The Word says pray without ceasing. And God's Word is our confirmation and our point of reference that there is nothing new under the sun. No new challenges, no new people, no new worldly confusion, nothing. All of that was done before. Read that Word and get your confirmation, get your strength, get your point of reference. Resurrect yourself. Resurrect yourself. When you resurrect yourself, you're allowing yourself to have a clear connection with God. Just like you plug in your phone at night to keep it flowing with energy, we've got to plug in with God all day long. Resurrect the dream that you once had. Resurrect everything that went wrong. Resurrect the dream that you gave up on. The education that you might have started but didn't finish. The workout plan that was important to you, but it's not. Resurrect the desire not to do things that damage you and your mind and your future. Resurrect your relationships with your children for God's sake. Resurrect anything that the world has taken away from you. Bring it back. You can have it. Move the stones of the world out of the way and free yourself and free your mind and allow yourself to be surrounded by people who love the Lord and love you. Pray on this daily. Matthew chapter 7 verse 8, for everyone that asks receive, and he that seeks finds, and if you knock on the door, it shall be opened. Allow God into your life. Allow God to be your motivation and your healer, your leader, your real superhero. Enjoy my daily posts and videos on your favorite social media platform or call 1-844-JB-BRIAN. I am the author of the book Afro Economics, Our Black Wealth Matters. #Afroeconomics.
Well, welcome back to Virginia this morning. Our next guest often appears on our show to pass along helpful money tips and strategies that you can use. Today, she's excited to talk about her latest project. Here's her recent conversation with Bill.
We often talk with our next guest, who is a top financial advisor, and we talk about money and all of that. Money matters. Today's discussion focuses on her book, Afroeconomics: Our Black Wealth Matters. Joining us is JB Bryant, and we welcome her back to our live show with a great big congratulations on your new book.
Thank you. And I'm excited to be able to share this with you. You know, you have no idea how exciting it is when you wait 20 years to actually write down your thoughts. You know, and I remember the first time that someone purchased a book, it was more than like graduating from college or anything, Bill. It was the most exciting thing. I regretted waiting so long, but it took me 20 years to get the confidence to just write down my thoughts and articulate Afroeconomics and these key 10 principles that I think can change the world or changing the world.
Change your world, too. Let's talk a little bit. I want to get a couple of points here that I'm so interested in. And this book is so timely because I'm hearing this, on news and things, and people are bringing up statistics about it. And that is, you write in your book, quote, "A financially strong Black community will create a stronger nation for all." And if you think about it, that's just common sense, but you really do lay it all out for us in your book, don't you?
Yes, indeed. And I think that it's easy for us not to realize our personal responsibility for making this planet a better place. But it is so true that the advancement of all of us individually and as a community is a benefit to the entire nation and even the planet, Bill. Like, for example, in December, the Labor Department said that more than 80,000 Black women lost their jobs. So in Afroeconomics, I put a big emphasis on the seventh principle, which is entrepreneurship. And in entrepreneurship, the classes are about how creating your own business or growing the business that you already have. And see, in building the businesses, it helps everyone because what? Businesses provide services, they provide products, and they hire people. So with Afroeconomics, I've made a commitment as an investment advisor to also share my 25 plus years of being an entrepreneur that I've often taken for granted. So with the entrepreneurship classes, that I'm able to say, this is what I did. This is what I would have done differently. This is how I can help you build your business. And they're absolutely free. They're free. So I just, appreciate Afroeconomics has grown from just the pages of the book and the seventh principle in the book to we're actually doing the entrepreneurship classes. And then the fourth principle of Afroeconomics about knowledge, I actually do the classes for free about increasing your knowledge about investment options, about wealth development, about making
JB,
better choices. Yes.
You have 10 principles of Afroeconomics, and they are legacy, planning, integrity, even health. And it all factors in, doesn't it?
Yes, and you can tell how excited I am. But they do. They are huge. The 10 principles, I really selected them because I feel that Afroeconomics is a lifestyle. Like it's about including, and even at the core of it, I have my relationship with God, and I encourage us, and I just go into that Bible, and I've pulled out Bible verses about better financial management and things that we can do from the word. So the 10 principles start with legacy, but it ends with the impact of your health as the 10th principle, because people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of their retirement savings on health issues. So you know what I did? I created some classes, and we also do health classes, and I host them myself just on how to make better health decisions and how our health impacts our wealth.
legacy, your health and planning. You even have some programs about children in there and how to get them started down this path.
And in COVID, this pandemic that we are building our way out of, Bill, introduced an opportunity for me to create the Afroeconomics teen classes. So it was about financial literacy, especially within the Black teenager, and explaining to them how the connection between the slavery actually and Wall Street, and how the slave trade actually was the beginning of what we know as now Wall Street. And so I discussed things like that, the history of Black wealth, the impact that slavery has had on the United States economy. And then even younger than that, I created a children's book about the importance of legacy and understanding your impact and how your family members are important to you.
Big thank you to J.B. Bryant. She's always making us proud and making us smarter. And she is a top investment advisor in the Richmond area. And she offers free weekly money seminars and webinars every Wednesday evening and Sunday morning. You'll find a link for more information at WTVR.com/VTM. Congratulations on the book. And stick around, y'all. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Virginia This Morning, live here on CBS 6. Our next guest has her finger on the pulse. New information and tips happening in the financial world, and she just loves sharing those findings with you, our valued friends and viewers of the show, and talking about friends.
Absolutely. She's one of them. Joining us live by Zoom this morning, Richmond financial advisor J.B. Bryant. J.B., always a delight to see you. Happy Monday.
Oh, it's so good to be here and to see you both together. And you just look like a flower. You're a flower, Jessica.
No, those are the flowers.
Oh,
the print.
She's a flower.
Okay.
It's early in the day. I still smell like a flower, too.
Yes, you are. It smells like a flower.
It's awesome to see, JB. This is a really important conversation. When we started this at the beginning of the show and said you'd be talking with us about banking fees, this is something that what is it? Butters my grits? No, that would be happy. How do we say this the best way? Makes me mad. Makes me mad when these sneak up.
So and sneak is the key word there, because a lot of times we don't even know they're there, and then you get a statement and you're like, well, what's that for?
Right.
I didn't do anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they did a recent study, Bill and Jessica, that it's amazing. Just during this COVID time, they actually did a study and they discovered that there are banking deserts. Now, you've probably heard of a food desert, right? Mm-hmm. Well, yes. A banking desert is just about the same, where you'll have minority communities that people of color are having challenges finding banks. And as a result of that, with not having any banks conveniently located, the bank rate survey found that people of color are paying, in many cases, dramatically more, twice as much as white Americans for bank fees. Is that not amazing?
It is. And when you outline that, JB, and you think, well, by virtue of not having a local bank to be able to access, a lot of people watching may say, well, so what? I bank online. How does this affect me, right? But not everybody does.
That's right. It is amazing, because even if I give you a suggestion that says to get your bank rates down, to save on bank fees, get an account online that may have a free account for you, I still have to tell you, you have to then have access to internet. Maybe then you may be paying more than the $12 bank fee that you may have. So it is a slippery slope, and I'm glad to see articles like CNBC.com expressed it. I'm glad to see that Bankrate is doing the research on it, and I'm really glad that we're having this discussion this morning, because now, because of COVID, it has spread not with just the minority community, it's gone outside of our community into an income issue. This new research has found that the bank rates are actually impacting low income, especially people whose income has changed because of COVID-19. I mean, very interesting point as well.
So, JB, there's always been some kind of bank fees associated, but what you're saying is what's happened while nobody was looking is that not only did they go into communities that were underserved and jack up the fees, but just in general, because of people's income, the fees are higher.
Yes. And a lot of times because bank accounts are requiring a minimum balance. So if you're not making the income that you were making before, you're more likely to drop below that minimum balance. And so I think that we have an extra challenge when your income has changed. You have an extra challenge when you live in a neighborhood that has expensive ATMs available for you, but not an actual branch. So I would say a major takeaway is to do direct deposit if you can. I believe that, and I do believe that this has, when you look at the research, it will show that a Black person is less likely to have a bank account. And that could be because, and it's gone beyond. I mean, the even for our Hispanic community, it showed that their bank fees are even higher than our Black community. So we do definitely need to put some time into helping. And this show definitely helps that we realize there's a challenge. Make sure that if you use an ATM that's free. There are some convenience stores that are free, but typically if they're in our community, they're not free. That's really sad.
JB, I have a question because I've been in places that had, where you used to go in and you say, "Can I get cash back?" And the cashier would say, "Sure." And you go over. Now they say, "No, we have an ATM over there." You go over to the ATM and it's like $4 or $5 to get your money out.
That's right.
Wait a minute, they used to give it to me for nothing. Now
that's right.
And so that's kind of what you're talking about, isn't it?
A lady told me the other day. She said, my account now has where you can actually call and get customer service for $10 a month. I said, you realize that used to be free. You realize that they're doing a great job on marketing that used to be a free service. Now you are paying for customer service.
$10 a month.
Yes, and excited about it. Be careful.
Wow.
Be careful.
So JB, we have about a minute left. We've talked about a couple strategies. One, find an ATM that does not charge the fees. Again, that's an obstacle if you can't get to that one. But do you have other key things that we all can keep in mind with keeping those banking fees low?
Become more comfortable with doing things online so that you can check your email, and so that if you do have a bank account, which is very helpful, make sure that it sends you emails. Make sure you set up for the app on your phone from your bank account that will send you an alert that if you're going below a set balance, that you get a trigger so that you can correct it if you can, so that you can avoid additional fees. But so set the alerts before the challenge happens. But use technology as much as you can. Take advantage of direct deposit as well. Be careful with online accounts. They sound great. They say it's free, but many times it's free if you only do one transaction, or it's free if you only do 2 transactions within a month. So be very careful what you sign up for. When you're excited about the word free, make sure it's really free.
Read that fine print.
Right. JB always brings things to light that some of us hadn't even thought of. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity.
JB Bryant offers free weekly money seminars and webinars every Wednesday evening and Sunday morning. You'll find a link to more information at WTVR.com/BTL.
And coming up next, we'll take a peek inside our inbox, checking out what came in over the weekend as part of Everywhere You Are. We'll be right back with that.
It's a new year. Great time to get a hold on your money portfolio.
Yes, are you holding it like
Hold
this?
it tight, yeah.
Our great friend of the show, investment advisor JB Bryan, joins us to talk about the financial forecast for 2022. We welcome her back to Virginia this morning. JB, always a delight.
It's so good to be here, and I love our topic, like this opportunity to talk about the financial outlook for 2022. I just saw a business headline and it said inflation, rising interest rates, and the Federal Reserve could whip stocks around in the week ahead. I said, wow, our discussion this morning is right on point. So
Okay.
Did you
This is
say
great.
lift those stocks
Or
or
rip.
whip?
Whip,
Whip. Oh, she said rip.
whip them.
Whip
Tear
it
'em
good,
up.
okay.
Okay.
Whip in a bad way. I know, I tell you. So, but that was the headline. And interesting though, Jessica, think about it. It did not mention COVID-19.
Oh.
Well, you would
Did
think that
not.
would be the top thing to consider.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we looking at?
So, but I do believe that COVID-19 will continue to be a distraction, I should say, that for the marketplace, because it's very unpredictable and tragic. You know, the pandemic is still a primary driver in the financial markets, especially through 2021. So it may not make headlines this week as its impact on the market, but it definitely will continue through 2022 to either help us increase our confidence in feeling that, okay, we're getting through, we're doing okay, and we're surviving COVID-19, and the marketplace is a little bit more predictable because of how well we're handling it. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but definitely we'll continue to look at the impact of COVID-19 and its influence on the financial markets.
JB, you mentioned that it's still in the headlines. In the news this morning, I saw where President Biden has appointed 3 new people to the Federal Reserve Board. That was a headline this morning. So talk about making headlines. And the Federal Reserve has a big influence on what's going on with money.
That's right. And the chairman of the Federal Reserve is actually doing a presentation to Congress tomorrow about the decisions that the Federal Reserve has made during this pandemic. And so that's going in, of course, it's going to be asked, like, what are you going to continue to do going forward? Because the Federal Reserve in March of 2020, that was the last time the Fed cut interest rates to that extreme level. Well, the first time was in 2008. It went down to somewhere between 0 and 0.25. The next time was March 2020. So, it's going to be a discussion, I'm sure, about how is this going to impact the marketplace and employers and their ability to grow their business if we move the rates forward too quickly, and how are you going to approach this also because of inflation? So all of this is going to be discussed, I'm hoping, tomorrow when, like you said, the Federal Reserve is doing a lot of changes, but also I think that the biggest part about this discussion is that our viewers at home are getting a discussion about things that we just look at market news and we think that it's just happening to us. But this discussion actually is saying, think about COVID-19, think about the Federal Reserve, think about inflation, and is this going to get better? Because I agree with most business reports that it is the home prices and vehicle prices and even energy that's pushing the inflation up so much. So as supply, and we have more vehicles and more homes available, catches up with demand, this inflation will subside, but it may take a couple of years for us to see a correction in the prices
It's interesting
for these durable goods.
JB, as you say, consider all of those things. I feel like if you consider them too much, you want to bury your head in the sand. But with looking from the perspective of those home prices, the vehicle prices, and when that correction happens, I was going to ask a super novice question of, this is the time of year we are looking ahead and kind of trying to set the stage, wrap our arms around it. Is there a time of year that this settles in, so whatever change is going to happen happens? Or we just
Beautiful question, but no. In my over 30 years that I've been in financial services, I always expect the unexpected. Great point. And I think that we need to make sure that our finances are always designed for our specific risk tolerance and your individual financial goals. So no matter how great an opportunity looks, if it's not within your risk level, or if it's not providing the long-term perspective that you need for your family and your portfolio, you need to reconsider having your portfolio set up that way. So it's a good time, all the time, to find a trusted financial advisor and discuss things like tax law changes down the road, inflation, your risk tolerance, the Federal Reserve moves, and COVID-19's influence on your financial life.
We got 10 seconds. So we started with COVID-19. We're going to finish with the Great Resignation and unemployment.
Now you have 5 seconds.
Now you got 5.
The good thing is that the Great Resignation does not hurt our unemployment numbers. So soon, hopefully, the people who have lost interest in the workplace will re-enter down the road. But when you resign, you do not qualify for unemployment. So they're resigning for other opportunities or resigning to start their own business, but they're not resigning to get unemployment.
Okay.
2 separate bubbles.
Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
JB,
That's
great
right.
talking with you. Thank you.
Great talking with you. Have a wonderful week.
Good information again today.
Absolutely. JB keeps us on track, and she offers free weekly money seminars and webinars every Wednesday and Sunday evening. You'll find a link to all the information, WTVR.com/VTM.
Stay tuned. We're coming right back.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of Afro Economics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afro Economics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afro Economics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afro Economics podcast. There are many levels of Afro Economics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #AfroEconomics.